Honorable executives, today I would like to propose the opportunity of a lifetime for our company, Del Frisco's Restaurant Group. Currently, we have 3 different chains of highly successful, high-quality restaurants throughout the United States. But until today, that has been the extent of our operations. However, now the whole world is an international market, full of a whole new base of clientele that we have not yet broken into. We cannot get left behind. That is why I propose we set up our first international restaurant as soon as possible. Sullivan's seems like the best chain for this. It has a universal appeal and a high level of sophistication that will keep it from seeming off-putting to foreigners. However, where are we to first establish ourselves? It seems to me that the best country to begin international operations would be New Zealand. There are several reasons for why this is the case. New Zealand has one of the freest economies in the world, and has been consistently ranked 3rd in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business ranking. In addition, it has been ranked 1st in terms of ease of setting up a business. Should we choose to set up shop there, it would cost merely $100 and a day of our time. There is little government regulation or centralization, so we can keep costs down and preserve our independence. New Zealand is world famous for its international and fusion cuisines as well. However, perhaps the biggest reason for setting up shop there would be the huge tourist market. Approximately 2 million tourists each year, primarily from Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, visit New Zealand each year, and tourism is the largest sector of the New Zealand economy. Now, these reasons may make you consider why we wanted to set up shop in a country such as Singapore, which is also world famous for its international and fusion cuisines, has an expansive tourist market, and is ranked 1st in terms of ease of setting up a business. The answer, in a nutshell, boils down to culture. New Zealand follows the same basic Anglo-Saxon tradition as does the United States, and Singapore does not. In addition, much of the international cuisine in Singapore is sold in the open-air markets, the hawker centers, which is a far cry from the restaurant atmosphere of Sullivan's. In order to keep any cultural shocks to a minimum, it seems best to start in a country like New Zealand, and then move to other countries such as Singapore, once we've better adjusted to the international scene. So this all begs the question, where are we to first establish ourselves in New Zealand? Given its expansive international airport that receives a majority of the tourist traffic, and its expansive population of 1.1 million residents, it seems best to establish ourselves first in the city of Auckland. Notice also the geography of New Zealand. It consists of 2 islands that run primarily in the north to south direction. I propose that once we establish ourselves in Auckland, we continually move southward, planning restaurants in such cities as Wellington, Christchurch, and finally Dunedin. In this way, we can achieve total mastery of both islands without oversaturating the market. So let me explain how an individual restaurant is going to work. Each restaurant will follow the same basic structure. Managing the affairs of the restaurant as a whole will be the general manager, who will have several important jobs, which I'll refer to later. Leading the kitchen will be the executive chef, who will oversee a classic garde de cuisine, which will be complete with sous chef, chef de partie, and so on. As the guests enter into the restaurant, they'll be greeted by the host, and will be served by a small staff of waiters. Finally, we'll have a small janitorial staff as well, to make sure that the appearance of the restaurant is on par with that of the food. In hiring our staff, it seems best that we appeal both to our customers and to the New Zealand labor force as a whole. Therefore, it seems advantageous to hire local New Zealanders for those positions that require direct contact with the customer or in the preparation of local food. So how will the affairs of the entire enterprise as a whole be arranged? New Zealand offers 3 different methods of incorporation for overseas companies. 1, subsidiary. 2, 1 branch. 2, subsidiary. And 3, new corporation entirely. After much deliberation, I have come to the conclusion that a subsidiary company would work best for Sullivan's. In this way, Del Frisco's Restaurant Group can retain entire ownership over the company while still keeping limited liability. Notice that we are not planning on franchising. In this way, Del Frisco's can retain all of its profits. However, we will grant each of the general managers a significant amount of autonomy in terms of managing their restaurants, and each restaurant is basically going to serve as an independent entity. So these general managers are going to have a significant amount of control over such facets of operations as menus, advertising, public relations, and so on. The menu, of course, is going to be a big component of what they do, as that is what draws in our customers. In America, we serve typical fare such as steaks, lobsters, and so on. However, we needn't stick with that in Sullivan's in New Zealand, and in fact, we probably shouldn't. It would be advantageous for us to incorporate the local Maori cuisine as well. In this way, we can appeal both to the tourist and to the local who wishes to have comforting American food, or for the more daring who wishes to have the local Maori cuisine. In this way, Sullivan's can attain the largest target market that it possibly can, and that will lead to, of course, an increase in our revenue. Advertising will also be a significant portion of the general manager's affairs. While we will grant them a significant amount of freedom in terms of how they advertise, for at least the first year of a restaurant's operations, we'll maintain a high level of corporate oversight. As an example of this general one-year plan, let me explain what we'll do in Auckland. No doubt, our biggest promotional challenge will be gaining name brand recognition, as we will not yet be well known in New Zealand. Therefore, approximately 2 weeks before we open up shop there, we'll have a full-page back cover advertisement on the largest or most widely read newspaper in New Zealand, the Auckland Herald. Once we open, we might start offering a discount coupon inside the newspaper for approximately 15%. We'll maintain a presence on television through the most widely broadcasted station in New Zealand, Prime TV, and have it specifically broadcasted to our target market in Auckland. We'll also maintain a web presence, not only through such websites as Facebook and the Auckland Herald's website, but also through tourist websites such as newzealand.com. In this way, we can appeal both to the local and to the tourist, and again, accommodate all of our target market. We'll also maintain a presence in such facets as the airports and in billboards. In that way, we can obtain the largest target market possible. Now let me explain the most important part of the operation, finances. While we don't plan on turning a profit initially, we feel as though by the end of the second quarter, we will be able to extend the growth of our business to the point of profit. Revenue is determined by multiplying the average customers per night by the average meal cost. Given our menu, it seems reasonable to estimate that the average meal cost will be around $60 per person. Further, given our experience in America, it seems that at maximum capacity, a restaurant will have roughly 200 customers per night, which is largely around the dinner menu, but also around breakfast and lunch as well. While we don't plan on having these 200 customers per night initially, we feel as though given the extensive advertising that we plan on conducting, we should have 50% capacity when we originally open, and move to 200 or full capacity by the end of our first year. In this way, we expect a first year revenue of around $3.4 million. In determining expenses, I have made a few estimations pertaining to salary, rent, utilities, advertising, ingredients, and so on. In scouting out Auckland, I have found a restaurant that is both large enough to suit our needs and is close enough to the main roads. All in all, this would cost a rent of approximately $27,000 per quarter. In determining salaries, I have used the mean salaries given by government statistics multiplied by the number of positions we plan on having. At full capacity, I have estimated that it will take approximately 15 waiters, 4 janitors, 4 cooks, in addition to the general manager, executive chef, and host, to keep the restaurant running at full efficiency. All in all, this will be around $235,000 per quarter. In determining the cost of ingredients, it seems reasonable to estimate that they'll cost around 40% of our meal cost, which is quite reasonable assuming that we instigate a policy of locally grown foods, which not only will keep our costs down, but will also infuse money into the local economy. All in all, that would cost $218,000 per quarter. Combined with a few other miscellaneous expenses, this will lead to a first-year expense of $2.62 million. This, of course, leads to a profit, or initial profit, of $780,000 for the first year alone. Given the moderate corporate tax that New Zealand imposes of around 28%, this implies net profit for our first year of $561,000. This growth that we have seems entirely sustainable, Assuming we initially establish one restaurant per year as we go throughout New Zealand, this would lead to a net profit by the end of our third year of approximately $2.7 million. This may seem a bit far-fetched, establishing one restaurant per year, but remember that in the United States we establish 2 restaurants per year, so establishing one restaurant per year seems quite feasible and quite possible. And thus, it seems not merely possible, but probable that Sullivan's can have success in the international market. It is merely a matter of your approval. Please help me make Sullivan's and Del Frisco's Restaurant Group the best possible company that it can be. Thank you very much for your time.